Hi there, my name is Kendrick and welcome to another Ian and Female interview. Today I have an awesome panel of individuals that all share the same function stack. So we have Rose as the ISFJ, Victoria and Evelien as the INTPs, Drew as the ENTP, and Isaac as the ESFJ. But I'll get them all to introduce themselves more thoroughly. So go ahead, guys. Why don't we start with Isaac, the tribe guy here?
Sure. Right. So my name's Isaac. I am an ESFJ, audio, FESI, blast, play, sleep, consume. I live in Salt Lake. I've been studying this system for maybe 2 years now. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. How about we go to Rose next?
Okay, I am Isaac's cousin or sister type. I'm an FM, SIFE, blast, sleep, play, consume, ISFJ. And there you have it. I have blonde hair. There I am. How about you, Evelien?
I am INTP, FM, TISI, sleep, consume, play, blast. That's it.
All right, I guess I'll take up the mantle. So I'm Drew. My wife and I have a channel, Augmented Personality, where we talk about a lot of this kind of stuff. I'm an ENTP personally. In OPS, I'm a double feminine, NETI, consume, sleep, blast, play. So I'll try not to be super play last this interview. I'll try my best. Keep the chaos up. And then I guess, Victoria, you finish us up on the end.
Yeah, if you were trying not to be play last, then I try to not be too blast last. So yeah, my type's INTP, double feminine, TINE, consume, play, sleep, blast. Yeah, I've been with OP for about year and a half now, and yeah, I was on one of Kendrick's interviews before, which was really fun. So yeah, looking forward to today.
Awesome, guys. So thanks for your introductions. In today's interview, we're going to be talking about all your function stack. So SINE, FE, and TI. I was making a joke before we started recording this that we're going to cover the FE and the TI last because they're the more spicy functions. So we're gonna cover that later on. No offense to the observers here.
That's taken for sure.
Taken for sure. Oh yeah, you're playing last. Anyways, so why don't we start with the SI first? So some of you guys have SI as a demon. Some of you have it as a real demon, like Drew. But some of you have it as a savior as well. So why don't we start with SI? Who wants to start and talk about their SI first? Do I have any volunteers? It's gonna be quiet. I knew it. I knew it was gonna be quiet.
I mean, I can start.
Okay. Okay, go for it.
So since the winter break, I've been really trying to work on doing more SI, even though it's a savior, because I'm in a really demanding program, and I kind of lost all my motivation and stopped working. So what I've been doing is very carefully crafting like my morning and night routine so that I get everything done. And so what I'm realizing is that like what they say about like cleaning a room and just doing your chores and like making sure that your house is in order, that actually does have like a huge benefit to how you feel just generally. And then yeah, that's what I've been trying to do a lot of recently, and it's been really, really helpful. And I think that has a lot to do with SI. Specifically, I think it has to do with sleep energy, like having a routine that you're actually sticking to and actually doing maintenance on your house, on yourself, your hygiene, etc. It's like the maintenance that you do to upkeep the thing that you're walking around in. It's very
Meat
necessary.
sack.
The meat sack,
Yeah.
Let's go with Rose.
Okay. Okay, what do you want to know about SI in particular? Because there's just a lot of ways I could go with this. Is it just generally what I want to say about SI?
What are you doing with that SI? You're
what
the
am I
lead
doing?
SI here. Yeah, it's
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I find it kind of boring to talk about. Which you're right. Maybe FE and TI is more spicy than SI, NE. but I don't know. I think it's yeah, making reality ordered. My blast and my sleep are saviors. So my SI is balanced, is like one way to say it. It bounces off my TI and my FE. And so I find it like really easy to just grab and use. With it being feminine, it's like it's not super pushy. It feels like I'm constantly aware of it. And it's always like I've said this before, like I can just take the wheel and like drive the SI train and like get things in order for people like really quickly, really easily. But I find it really boring. So, but yeah, it's like it comes in use, like being a manager, like what Isaac was saying, like getting a routine for yourself, like if you're sick in particular, or, you know, you're having some bad any SIs, really good antidote for that. Yeah.
Wait, pass the ball.
What about, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kendrick.
Yeah, go ahead and pass it to whoever you want.
Yeah, I was going to pass it to Drew, how he feels with his double
Oh.
activated SI at the bottom.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's a blast wizard.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got a weird relationship with SI for sure, right? So as a MBTI ENTP, right, SI is going to be at the bottom for me. But in OPS, having sleep and blast in the top three, I'm going to be looking at it more than like your average INTP or your ENTP, right? I'm double activated SI, so to speak, right? So it's very weird for me because being NE at the top, like I don't really feel compelled to do SI the same way, right? But I'm also looking at it a lot with the sleep and the blast. So it's kind of like I'm aware that I need to do the SI because like my sleep and blast are kind of, hey, you need to be doing these kinds of things. But my NE is just like, yeah, but also don't do that because you need to keep with the chaos. You need to keep moving everything along. And so like it's tough because like it definitely comes in like in demon swings for me, right? Because it's all the way at the bottom, right? So it's like I'll let my apartment get like really messy or anything before like I'll actually go and clean it. Like it's not like I'm consistently doing those kinds of things. And I'm always complaining like, oh, because I got sleep in the top two. So I'm, giving my Mopusor report all the time. Like, oh, my back hurts. Oh, this thing hurts. I should like work out to like fix them. And then I'm just like, but I don't have the SI to actually do it. So it's kind of annoying. I've got a really weird relationship with SI. I also think it's boring because it's at the bottom for me, but I also wish I had more of it in some ways. I wish I could access it more to actually do the things. Yeah, and that's pretty much me and my SI. I guess I'll pass it along to the INTPs. They've been sliding so far. I'll go with Viktoria again.
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, SI is mostly actually organizing my house and my surroundings, exactly what you were saying, Drew. They're not doing very much. I really enjoy that. I even go so far to sometimes do that at other people's houses, which is not always regarded so well. And I think it's mostly in the way I explain things as well, especially compared to somebody who as an I in the stack, I will always give a lot of examples and little physical steps on how to actually do it. For example, nutrition or even New Year's resolutions that will all be very specific in the physical. Whereas, for example, I heard about some other people that just have like a word for the year to come. Like for 2022, the word is joy. And for me, that's like super NI. I'll have a full list of things that are going to be, just very specific. What about you, Evelien?
I'm really sick of SI actually. I feel like I'm compelled to do it. It's what I'm doing. Things I read, information, and the house too. But it's always very specific. Like I would overdo it in one spot, and then forget about the rest. And I feel like it's like I can find a balance between the NE and the SI. in the sensory. And also, like when I try to set up a routine for myself, I feel like I can only that it only lasts for like a couple of months, and then I say screw it, and then I just do something else. But I think that's related to my double feminine sleep, maybe. Yeah, but it's very exhausting function, because it feels like you never get anywhere with it. Yeah, not my favorite function.
All right, it looks like no one likes their SI. No one has a good opinion of it. I do have a question about you guys with SI. So I noticed with your function stack and you guys in particular, are any of you guys hoarders? Like,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Evelyn's a hoarder. Okay.
Yeah, but I used to be, but and always these kind of like little tools, like I was actually like preparing for chaos. It's kind of, I didn't know that before I got my type, and then I just got rid of half of it because it's useless. I would keep all these like tools just in case I need it, but yeah,
Like what?
there was never a time where I could use it. It was just all in my head. And I would like overdo it. Like I would buy like one particular tool and then all different colors and sizes. So that one thing. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh. Oh.
Anyone else? Rose?
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
I was
no,
just-
I've never
gonna
had
say,
that. Go ahead.
I've never had the hoarding thing per se with like physical things. Like with me being consumed at the top, like I have kind of like idea hoards, so to speak, of like there's certain topics that I'm like, oh, I've got like 12 books on this and I watch videos about this all the time. So maybe that's kind of a form of hoarding, but it's not like physical. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, Victoria mentioned lists earlier, and like, I don't know about you guys and your SI, but that's like that's a big thing for SI for me, is like having lists of lists to keep track of all the lists of all the stuff I have to do. And then my wife and I joke about this all the time. I forgot to mention this in my little pitch that paperwork is like the bane of my existence, because if the paperwork is not done perfectly when I go to like whatever DMV or whatever government thing, like I'll freaking tear my hair out if I have to go there again because the paperwork wasn't done correctly the first time. I hate that stuff so much. It's so annoying. SI is so like, it's such a strong compulsion to get things perfect, you know? And you can never really get the sensory perfect because it like, you know, it just doesn't work that way.
I agree strongly with that. It's definitely it's definitely like a hopeless kind of fighting against the universe collapsing kind of energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm also putting out the energy that's collapsing the universe, you know, on the front
right.
end. So. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I always think of SI as like prevention, and like prevention isn't sexy. Like take your vitamins. It's like, yeah, okay, great. Let's have a conversation about that. It's like not really fun. But I have the same thing with Drew. I actually like do not like paperwork. I think getting inside anyone's introverted functions is annoying. And so I also find DMVs really fucking annoying, excuse my language. I've tried to get my license like 4 times and I have just given up at this point because every time I go, they're like, this document is wrong. This document is wrong. And I'm like, okay, how many times do I have to show up here? So that might just be being an observer, but.
That's so interesting to hear like how much you guys hate SI, because like I always find a little bit more comfort in it. Like I if I were to go to the DMV, for example, and they got everything wrong, I would feel comfort at the fact that I hadn't been the one to screw it up. I would feel happy that it was somebody else who was the failure instead of myself. And then like I would be like, I'm gonna come back to the DMV and I'm gonna show you all up. Like that's my attitude going into it.
I have the exact opposite attitude. If I go to the DMV and anything is on there, it's like, that's on me. That is my fault. These people spent all this time making this list, and I can't just check off the right frickin' boxes, you know? Yeah.
I would agree, and it's more comforting, I think, if it was yourself who screwed up, because then you're in control of fixing it or doing better
Yes.
next time. Whereas if it was somebody else, you don't have any control over them, right? They might just
Yes.
screw up again. Or you would
True.
also feel bad blaming them. Like, I don't want to give anybody shit for having done shitty work, but I want to. And if I didn't make the mistake, then, you know, I can't do anything about it. So
Yeah, part of it probably for me too is I'm play last, so I'm not trying to go to the DMV more than once. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a one trip guy. I'm get one and done. Don't want to go back.
But I also agree with you, Isaac, on the way that I find SI quite comforting. Actually, when I'm like anxious or agitated in some way, that's when I go back on my SI and like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to make a list. Also, I'm going to clean. So this is what like calms me down then. So definitely comforting.
Yeah, I'll third that the cleaning of spaces and like clearing out, like, you know, they say that like your physical space is a reflection of your mental space, and so like kind of making your physical space look better definitely is nice as a any at the top kind of person. So I can respect that. Like there's definitely a positive side to it too.
All right, since we're on this topic, let's go jump into NE now. We'll start with Drew because he's the chaos guy here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, NE's a wild ride when it's at the top, especially with consume, because it's like it's an insatiable beast, right? Where I for me at least paired with consume, it's I'll have like an idea that I really want to look into, and I'll literally just like sit on my couch and just like I'll read books, I'll watch podcasts, I'll whatever. I'll literally do it for like 4 or 5 hours, completely lose track of time, and just be like, I feel like I don't understand anything more about this now because I'm not actually organizing anything. I'm just taking in all these abstract ideas and trying to like, help my TI out with them, so to speak. So yeah, NE is nice. That side of it's kind of the more negative side. The more positive side is that I've heard that NE is like the funniest function. So like a lot of comedians usually have some sort of NE in there because like the wordplay, the puns, like the random, like off the cuff kind of comments, a lot of that is not only NE, but NE seems to be like have an easier time kind of doing those kinds of things. And so like the in the moment kind of stuff is kind of fun with NE and like playing around with that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess I'll who else has NE as a savior? I guess I'll throw it over to Viktoria again, and then we'll go to the NE the demons.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely second the what did you call it? Insatiable beast. Yeah, for sure. Just being completely drawn down a rabbit hole of consume and just like pushing you around. Also staying on topic sometimes a bit difficult, and stopping. It's like, okay, this is enough now. It's like no more. It's like, was that really necessary, all this amount? And like what's actually your solution, or what you're distilling out of all of that? Yeah, can we come up with something that's a bit more narrowed down? Oftentimes very difficult. Yeah, how do the demon NE guys see that? Like Rose?
Yeah, so NE is a function I'm definitely not using in a savior state, but that I enjoy using. Like it is like what Drew was saying, it is the function that seems to be the jokester. Like that is where my jokes are coming from usually. Usually jokes in the decider are like less appreciated, even if you're a double decider. So like it seems to be okay to like joke about the observation world, but not the decider world. And like right. And the way I visualize it is like NE is responsible for like getting up and like looking at the same SI sensory, getting up and walking across the room and seeing it from a different angle. So like that's how my SI like that's how as I get to it, is I'm like, okay, I've been staring at this banana in the middle of the room from this angle the whole time. I need to get up and go look at it from the viewpoint of philosophy or literature or whatever the hell angle I need to look at it from. And that's what I use it for, to try to get unstuck and just remind myself, because I'm doing SI too much. What about you, Evelyn?
And me, it's very difficult to see in myself. I do see it because I'm consuming all day long, because I'm doubling up on consume, but the things I consume are inside my sleep box. So it would be like going, like taking one specific subject and then read 100 books about it. Another thing is, like, I'm not good at improvising, like on the spot. But if I have to do it for work, then I'm actually pretty good at it. It's like in a natural state, it seems like that part of my brain is blocked off. Like I have to actually consciously say, okay, now I'm turning it on, and then I'm actually pretty good at it. And also, like, it's mine is masculine, so I heard them say about masculine intuition. I know what's coming. I have that too, but it's always in a negative thing I'm seeing coming, because it's demon. Yeah. How about you, Isaac?
Yeah, so for me, I think it's a little bit different because of the modality, because you all have masculine any, but I have feminine any demon. And for a long time, I couldn't see what it was doing at all. But what I've realized is that the feminine any in particular is like, it's like the wind just blowing and everything over. It's like the randomness. It's just pure randomness. Just, you have no idea what it is. It's just, there's some abstract random chaos coming to knock over the things that you built. And so to me, it's kind of annoying, which is interesting since you all said that SI was annoying. Maybe we don't like our feminine observers. But like the any chaos, it's like I have to let go in order to use it. It's like I'm being restrained by like rubber bands. Like my whole body is just like rigidly compressed, and in order to use the any, I have to just like let go and let the world exist and do its thing. And then like it comes out playing games with friends and things. Like I'm way more fun to be around, I think, when I'm just not trying so hard to control all the time. And so it's a very weird kind of almost meditative thing to let the any come out on its own. It's almost like I can't force it. But I also notice it when I'm trying to explain something. Like I teach classes sometimes, and when somebody doesn't understand, it's very easy to just shift perspective and attack it from a different angle. And like it's very easy to just like switch to new angle, and it's not exhausting to do that at all. Yeah.
So I want to ask the double observers here. Since we just finished SI and NE, when do you guys go to that double observing? Like, you know, Dave and Chan always say that when there's like a decider topic happening and then you guys get really uncomfortable, you go to the double observing to kind of defer to get away from that. So, you know, because the people part is uncomfortable. Do you guys see yourself doing that, where you go with the organizing and the gathering to make it more comfortable? Because that's where your competence are, that's where your superpowers are. Any deciders want to talk about this?
I mean, I would definitely say that if an opportunity arises to criticize someone, it's easier and more tactful to instead blame the government. And like, people are very comfortable when you do that. And so I definitely would agree. Like, if even if I personally think that someone is making mistakes, it's very easy to just say, oh, well, you're doing that because, you know, the government said this X, Y, and Z, and then your parents said this X, Y, and Z, and it's out of your hands because the observer world is controlling you. And everyone's happy with those kinds of explanations. So it's easier to give those out.
I like how when you said blame the government, Drew was like, yeah, blame the government. He's like, ENTP.
It's too much SI. Too much.
Victoria and Evelien, you guys, what are your take on double observing? Personally, is that your go-to also to, like, you know, there's like some kind of decider problem happening? Is that your escape route essentially?
Evelien, you want to go first?
I'm not sure. I haven't noticed it in myself actually, but I think when I have to like make a judgment about someone or when I'm doing it, I do like use observations to do that, and that's where I'm comfortable in. So I will say the positive and negatives about them, but I don't know if that's still the deciders I'm using, or is that the observers? I don't know.
I think for me, it would be hard to kind of catch myself double observing, because it's like, how do you not do that? That's to me a bit like, how would you get stuck on that? But I notice for me, it comes when I have to talk about my feelings, or there's a moment with a friend where you know, had some kind of deep talk. It's like, you know, you mean so much to me and that stuff. And then it's like, okay, I said it, that was uncomfortable. Let's not linger in that space for too long. Back to what are we gonna do, or what problems, what are we working on, something. So I guess that would be an example for that.
All right, time to go to the spicy functions now, guys. The FE and the TI. We're gonna start with the FE first. So a bunch of there's 2 of you with masculine and FE, and 3 of you with feminine FE, but some of you have it in demon state and some of you have it in savior state. And some of you have it super interesting, like Drew. It's like ENTPs usually have it in a savior state, or not savior, but play would be high, but he has play last. So all right, so who wants to go first with FE? Any volunteers for FE? No volunteers. Okay. I'm gonna go with Victoria first this time then. So Victoria, you are FE 4th. It's feminine, but you do have play as a savior, so you have access to it through play. Do you see yourself having demon FE swing, or is it something that you feel like, yes, I can see the tribe spectrum of emotions and I can respect it?
I think I can. It's not so much not seeing or not respecting that. But Shan had said it in a video, I think, the other day, that they were going about typical DI stuff. DI, thanks, Dave. DI at the workplace, and how there would be a candy machine and everybody else would be talking and socializing, and the DI just looks at it, walks past, starts working. And that would totally be me. And I felt super called out. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that is very demon FE, oopsie. But I'm very conscious of like the emotions, the vibe, if something's off, and I am scanning for that. So I wouldn't say I'm unaware, just that sometimes that easy switching of perspectives that the double deciders seem to be doing, that for me takes a lot of conscious effort. I have to be like, okay, what would the other person in this scenario look at? What would their perspective be in this situation? How might they view that differently? How would they be the good person in the story? And that doesn't always come automatically. I have to like actually put in those steps, and that's sometimes a bit, if I'm tired or if I've done a lot of that, like I'm doing in my job now. So after our interview, I actually started working with homeless people. And I've got clients all day where I need a lot of FE. So I feel like it depletes really easily. So over the day, when I've had to do that a lot, by the afternoon, I've just run out, and I get really snappy if somebody behaves irrationally or stupid or like comes at me the wrong way, then I'll just be like, no, I don't want to talk to you right now. So it's a limited amount.
I like how you describe it as the candy machine, where everyone's chatting by the candy machine, and because you do have play as a savior, you can see what's happening. You just choose to ignore it because you are an IP. So it's kind of interesting. That's what's happening, is that you do have the awareness. I do want to ask Evelien though, because Evelien is double introverted, sleep consume. So do you even see the hypothetical candy machine conversation happening, or are you just in your own world the whole time?
The whole time. But I don't know, I'm just doing that at work, and everyone got used to it, so they don't care. But yeah, it's very difficult to access the FE. I used to think I was FI because I thought I couldn't possibly have FE in my stack. It's just, and every time I need to use it, there's always this lag time, like, okay, somebody is using FE, and I'm thinking I just never have the right response ready. I will always have to like go back to my introverted world, and then it's like totally inaccessible for me. I don't know how to solve this. FE. And
but your FE is masculine, which is interesting, because so you technically you should be able to see it, but it's
I used to think I used to think a certain way about the tribe's values, and then I got my type and I realized I was wrong. I have I'm also really like sensitive when someone is using FE on me. I easily feel like they're manipulating me, and that's the whole scared of the tribe too.
But can I ask a question to that? I never really understood how like FE could be used to manipulate somebody, like in a positive way, at least if somebody's like emotionally blackmailing you or guilt tripping, that's probably FE in like a
I'm super sad. Even like when somebody is like when I'm sitting at work and somebody is like asking how are you, I'm already like, oh, what?
You're like, what do you want? Are you buttering me up for something?
And I always want to like answer truthfully while they're actually just doing FE.
Also, you will be old German about it and give them a whole story. Actually, I didn't sleep that well last night, and then this morning I woke up with a bit of a headache. You will do that.
I know now that that's not what they actually mean, but I always have to remind myself, oh, it's just FE, just go along with it. It's difficult.
I definitely do that. When someone asks how I am, I tell them the truth. And then I love seeing their face because it's very funny. That's just me being a troll. So.
Troll
that's interesting. Maybe that's Sorry, maybe that's the difference. Is like Rose is doing it on purpose and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna throw that in there. That's fun, and you're just doing it because this is your first initial instinct.
Yeah, I swear Rose's NE is pretty good. Like she trolls people all the time with that, like the Joker NE. Also she's double decider too, so not scared of people, right? So we'll talk about we'll get to the double deciders later because I know you guys are gonna do some funny stuff with that FE. But let's go with Isaac. Maybe Isaac can actually so Isaac, you can share how you personally use FE, but maybe also explain to Evelien about and also Viktoria like the good and the evil of the FE, because I've seen I think ESFJs are the one that use it for both good and evil, like from what I've seen.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I should explain like why am I doing FE? Like there's a compulsion, there's an inner compulsion. Like when I see the candy machine conversation happening, I don't necessarily want to go over there and talk to them, but there's like a knife stab in my brain that says if you don't go and talk to them, you're gonna miss out on whatever inside jokes or stories are happening, and then that's gonna be really bad because what if in the future like you're sitting in a conversation with them again and then that comes up again and then they're all laughing and you have no idea what's going on. Like that's going to be super annoying because then it's going to be awkward to try to understand why they're laughing. So it's easier and better in all respects to just always be with the tribe so that you never miss the inside jokes. But of course that's impossible because if you're always with the tribe, you never get any work done. So it's like there's some shame there of feeling like I have this compulsion to neglect my work in order to not feel excluded. But that's destructive in a professional environment. So it's kind of difficult to balance that a little bit. But like I think that's the difference of what FE is doing in a savior state is that you feel like this gut punch compulsion to go and do the thing, or at least participate even in a trolling kind of way. And I would also say that it's totally fair to give an honest answer when somebody asks you how you are, because I think that it's not very nice to offer to be like a good shoulder to lean on when you don't mean it. And like when somebody offers, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Like you should always ask them to help you if they offer, because it's not cool for people to offer to help when they don't mean it. So you should always call them out on that. That's just my opinion. But what was the other? I know I missed something.
Yeah, the good and evil of the FE.
Right, the good and evil. I mean, so the good of the FE is that I think the biggest thing is that if you're doing FE all the time, like indiscriminately, then people don't slip through the cracks. So like if you're working in an environment that's not perfect and it's not like taking everyone's disabilities into account or their home situation into account, if you're out there doing the FE and talking to everybody, you know what everybody's concerns are with the problem, with what problems they're having and how that doesn't jive with company policy or whatever. And then if you know what the problems are, then you can go and talk to the management and say, hey, can we change the policy for this so that our employees can get the time off that they need? Because of course the introverts aren't going to ask for what they need. So the extroverts have to look out for the introverts. Or rather, we just do that and we're meddling, and we're meddling in your lives because we feel that we can, and so we will. Yeah, but of course that can get to be too much, of course.
And what about the evil side of FE?
The evil side of the FE is that you definitely can use it to manipulate people if you have evil in your heart, because like carefully crafted compliments or understanding or what's really bad is when the FE person changes their own opinions in the moment to match what you're saying. We can mirror too much in order to avoid conflict, but that's an illusion because the conflict is imagined. Like if you're saying that you like pineapple on pizza and I don't like pineapple on pizza, and then in order to like get along with you, I say, oh no, I love pineapple on pizza. Like I'm lying to you in that moment, and that's not cool either. But that's the compulsion, is to want to like identify with you as much as possible, to the point where I'm willing almost to commit white lies or lies of omission in order to seem closer to you. And that is not something that all FEs do at all. But FE can be used in that way to make it seem like you're closer to someone than you actually are. And then the relationship becomes artificial because of that forced mirroring from the FE.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on that one a little bit. So I guess I'll go next. So there's another, like, I guess part of the downside that you were close to getting to, but you didn't quite get all the way there, which would be not necessarily just like, oh, somebody says they like this, then you're gonna parrot back that they like this. But sometimes I will see with FE users where, like, you know, FE is like looking at the spectrum of values, right? And like sometimes you can actually use that to like put down people. And I don't know that FE users are like necessarily like trying to do that. Like sometimes they'll be like, oh, for example, like say you're like planning a wedding or something and you're like, oh, I just got this for my wedding tables or whatever. Just Gray and I are doing this stuff right now. That's why I bring this up. But and you're like, oh, well, people in general don't usually do that. This is what people generally do at a wedding. And it's kind of like a backhanded, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this because the FE spectrum doesn't say that this is positive, but I'm not going to outright say my TI and say like, I don't like that and you shouldn't do that. So that's something that I experience sometimes with the FE. But for me and my FE, and not just going after FE, I thought it was interesting. Isaac talked about earlier where for him, NE was kind of like his third function, like kind of like letting go, where you kind of have the rubber bands around you. For me, FE is like the same kind of thing, where it's like, I've got double activated TI. And so for me, I'm going to be like all in my head doing the TI. And then in order for me to be like, okay, but I'm around people now, I just have to like give in to the values around me. And for me, I've got feminine FE. So it's like pretty easy for me to just kind of be like, oh, I'm just going to like let happen what's happening. I'm not going to push on anybody and like push my FE on them a lot. And so like in a way, like I almost have like the split personality of like the TI and the FE. For me, the FE is more of like a listening function, I guess, because it's a demon. So it's like, I'm aware of the FE and I see the spectrum of values, but I'm not usually like bringing them up. I'm more so like, oh, I see where other people are on the spectrum of values, and whatever. I'm just gonna provide the listening to them, and I'm just gonna let them do their thing, and I'll just like kind of, I don't usually like parrot back the same way that like that Isaac was saying. I'll still let my TI out a little bit, but I think it's really good if you are trying to connect with somebody, like Isaac was saying, because like even if you don't necessarily agree with them, like I feel like if you're TEFI, you're gonna have a harder time being like, yeah, sure, like that's cool. I feel like if you're on the TIFI, your FI is gonna be like, nah, screw that. This is what it should be. Whereas like an FE user is gonna be like, oh no, I'm cool with that. Like we got different stuff, but like whatever, like I'm cool with that. So that's those are my thoughts on FE, I guess. And then I think Rose, you're the only one that has to go still.
Yeah, and I have some spicy things to say, Kendrick, just for you. Okay, so trying to tie in what everyone was talking about. I guess the first thing that with masculine FE savior that I see in myself do way too much is like, I'm a magnet for people that are suffering. And it's really hard and it's too much. And I'm trying to not do that because, like Isaac was saying, we accidentally get emotionally close to someone by accident, like unconsciously. And I'm like, okay, now I have like 20 people that are like having fires in their life and like, I can't actually help you. I was just unconsciously doing FE. So that's one thing. I also feel like when I look out into the tribe with masculine FE, I can like see everyone suffering, and it's like very, very, very loud. And like when somebody's off, I can tell, and it's so loud in my head that I like cannot relax. Like I have to either, bully you about it or leave the situation because it's just so fucking loud in my head. So that's kind of like how masculine FE is. I do have a thing about manipulation and shame. I feel like this is my spicy content, Kendrick. I think that FE gets the rap for shame because it's like an emotional function, but and it's a decider function, right? Everyone's a little weird about their deciders, but all of the extroverted functions shame all of the introverted functions. SE is constantly shaming my SI, TE shames my TE. It's just how it fucking happens. So yes, FE will shame you, but so will whatever extroverted functions that exist.
So basically what I'm hearing is FI gets the most butt hurt, and that's why FE gets the worst rap. That's basically what I'm hearing there. That's my spicy.
Thank you for pulling it together. Yes.
I've been butthurt by FE people.
We can also make it better though, right?
Oh man. Okay, just from a receiving end. So I had a boss that looks exactly like what's that lady's name? The ESFJ that David Chan uses as the god ESFJ woman, the one with the white hair. I always forget her name.
Oh, Katie Byron.
Yeah. So I had a manager that looks exactly like her, like to a T. And she used to shame me all the time at work, and I was so helpless. I didn't know how to fight back. But and I didn't hate her because I also felt like she gave me an opportunity to work for that job. I was working in the fitness facility. But I still remember when I quit, she was the first one to give me a card. And she got everyone to sign it, and she gave it to me. And like no one has ever done that for me. And so I can definitely like all the time she shamed me, she also did something really nice for me. So I was like, so for me, I feel like FE is like it's like a double-edged thing. That's why I see it as good and evil, because it's like, you can make someone feel really bad, and you can make someone feel $1 million, so it's yeah. I am curious though with the masculine. So Rose, you said that you're always feeling people's pain, and you have to leave the situation, otherwise it's too much. When you leave the situation, do you still feel the pain, or is it cut off? It's gone.
No, I feel it. Even if I have to be isolated from the tribe for like a week before whatever pain I just witnessed releases from my body. So like my body is just like storing in it feels like it's storing everyone's suffering. And I'm trying to do my own acceptance of life is suffering. And so it's okay that people are suffering. So I can release it, because my FE wants to hug everyone and fix their shit. And I know intellectually that I can't, but I want to, partly for them, but partly to get rid of the very bad feeling of their suffering sticking to me, because I can't move because I'm feeling above thinking. I can't go do things when I'm stuck in somebody else's suffering. So I'm trying to learn how to not do that, which is why you see people like Gary Vee just being a beacon of positivity, is because he's battling the negativity sticking to him.
So that's so interesting. I think this is the first time I've heard of, because from I guess the feminine FEs, once you leave the situation, the negative feelings of the tribe goes away. Is that right for all of you guys with feminine FE?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part.
Yeah, so you don't have the burden of the feeling getting the negative feelings of the tribe getting stuck. It's like once you're home, you're good. Yeah.
It's like in the moment when I'm there and I can see their face, then it is very powerful. But you know, once I leave the room and I start thinking about something else, it kind of does wash away.
Okay. Yeah, I can, because like when Rose was saying about the it's when Rose was saying about the negative feelings of the tribe, I was looking at my masculine FI, and negative feelings for me, they don't go away, they're stuck, but they're mine, they're not the tribes, they're mine, you know. So I kind of saw hers, it's something like that where it's stuck, but it's not hers, it's everyone else's, which is like I'm trying to wrap my head around it, like it's, how do you shake that off then? Like you said, the being a beacon of positivity helps shake that off, but how does that shake that off? Because wouldn't you still feel like crap, like see, because you've absorbed all this negative feelings that everyone is feeling in the tribe?
Yes. So I'm trying to logic my way out of why it's okay that they have negative feelings, so I don't take ownership of their feelings.
That's using logic.
Yeah.
Cut through it. Does it work?
I have to keep reminding myself, like, okay, there's this person in front of you and they have a bunch of trauma. They just, domestic violence, like whatever it is, like my FE detector is super good with it. Like, okay, it's a good thing that they're going through suffering is what I keep trying to tell myself. There's a quote by somebody, and I've feminine sensory, can't remember who it is, but it was like, basically like, I wish suffering on the people that I love because it teaches them strength. And I keep trying to keep my mind going there. Like, how do I flip this suffering for them into something positive so that it's selfish in a way, like, so I don't walk around feeling completely trampled by it.
I love that. That's great. That's exactly, I think I've felt this before. And I think it's like, it's very easy to get invested in someone else's story. And then like, it's very easy to feel personal responsibility for the other person's feelings. And then it's like you can't rest now because you're now you're carrying the yoke of their pain, and that means that you can't rest until their suffering has been alleviated. Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting conversation, because it's like the way that at least Rose and Isaac are talking about this are kind of like on an individual person basis. And I don't know if the other people that have as a demon feel the same way, but I tend to look at it more of like groups of people suffering and not necessarily like individual suffering, right? And so like for me, like when I think about suffering, it's usually on like, a society level scale, like a whole country or like the whole planet, and not like this person and like their mom and like, you know what I mean? And for me, like being an observer, like the NE is like, I want to be able to come up with solutions that like affect everybody, not just like this one individual person. And like that's kind of how I service my FE more than like fixing this one person's life. I don't know if anybody else has that, but that's kind of the way I tend to think about it.
I think that's beautiful, and I'm going to steal that for my bag for when I'm feeling like shitty.
Maybe okay, maybe because Drew's lead NE, so it's more like big picture, while Rose, your lead SI, so it's more like individual focus. I'm curious about Evelien and Viktoria though. So you both have FE in the bottom. You still have like loved ones, right? So maybe it's more like specifically to individuals as well. Like I want to ask Evelien first. So Evelien, you also have masculine FE like Rose does. Can you feel the suffering of like a specific loved one, like a mom or dad or someone that's really close to you? Like,
Yes, I don't relate as much as suffering of groups of people. For me, it's mostly an individual, and it has to be like in my face, or else I don't see it. And yeah, I also relate to the it sticks with me for a while. It doesn't wash off for me when I go home. Actually, it sticks to me for a long time. Yeah. I can't really logic my way out of it. Maybe because it's fourth. Why?
Yeah, I did want to clarify something really quick. So it's not that I don't feel the pain of individuals, like when I'm physically around them, just to be very, very clear. It's more so like when I go home, I don't tend to feel as affected by them. I immediately kind of revert to like the group pain. So I'm not an unfeeling individual.
You're not a sociopath, Drew.
Not that I'm aware of.
That's a relief. Yeah, I definitely I can agree with that. Yeah, it's worse when it's in the immediate situation. But then I feel the same compulsion that Rose does too. Like I have to do something about it. I have to fix it. If somebody's in a bad place, I can't just ignore it. I can't, let somebody else deal with it. I have to go and do it. And the homeless people, I think that Kendrick and I talked about is a good example. If somebody passes me and they look desperate, you can tell they are having a shitty time. It doesn't matter if, maybe they're taking the money for drugs or something. It doesn't, kind of logic goes out the window. It's just like, okay, somebody is suffering, you have to do it now. But same as Drew says, when I go home, the individual doesn't tend to stick with me. Then I will more think about, okay, all of the homeless people, what can I do? What SI plan can I have for next time? Okay, am I gonna pack some snacks? I'm gonna put some change in my wallet, so next time I'll have something again, stuff like that, but not necessarily like the individual's pain.
All right. That was really helpful, guys. I didn't realize there was such a massive difference between feminine FE and masculine FE. There's like such, it's so different almost. We're gonna go to TI next. This is all your identity, so this should be an interesting topic. Some of you have feminine TI, some of you have masculine TI, some of you have it in a demon state, some of you have it in a savior state. Why don't we go with Viktoria first, because you have a masculine TI, Viktoria. So how do you personally experience your masculine TI?
Sorry, I'm actually spacing out for a second here because I've got a headache. Would somebody else mind
Sure, yeah. Let's go with Evelien.
Okay.
Your TI first, and you have feminine TI. So it's a little bit different from Viktoria. It's feminine. You said that you're always trying to build your world view or something like that. I think when we had an interview, but then it always disappears because it's feminine.
Yeah, that's my double feminine sleep. That's like I realize all day long I'm doing the logic thing, and I'm doing the sleep, but it's very slippery. Like I can't backtrack what I've built very well, and almost also like I don't really have faith in my own arguments. Like I'm much more confident in the NF part of me because those are masculine. Even though it's a compulsion to do the TI all day long. But it's hard to remember, and yeah.
Do you feel like you're stubborn, Evelien? Because I feel like TI in combination with sensory, and then I would imagine masculine sensory and like sorry. No, you've got feminine sensory as well, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, do you feel like you're stubborn?
Not so much, no.
No? Okay, interesting. So maybe that's
like when I'm in an argument, I'm like easily, oh, okay, you're right. I give in really easily. And then sometimes it turns out I was right all along. Yeah, I also don't care that much, actually. I'm much more interested in NF stuff. I used to see myself as a hippie too, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But-
I'll take the under on that one. I'm definitely very stubborn. So I've got a double activated TI and I'm a chaos monkey. So yeah, TI is very, I mean, people throw around like the logic and building your own worldview and those kinds of things. And like that's definitely true. But it's like I have because it's introverted, right? It's personal. So like I have a lot invested, and like I feel like TI is, at least for me, is like trying to figure out like not only how I work, but like how the world works and like how I work within the world. And so it's like it's like I take like argumentation and like, you know, my opinions like very, very seriously on topics. And like I will die on a lot of hills that probably maybe other people would just kind of FE like let go of. But that's only because I feel like I have so much at stake, you know, that like if I lose this argument, then like some part of me has to get rebuilt, because literally like, you know, whatever part of the structure that I had built in my TI, like it obviously isn't working the way that it was intended because I couldn't win this argument. And so it's like, it's very personal. Yeah.
Well, you know, they call the ENTP the debater, right? So you
That's true. That's true.
yeah.
Because we can always just like use our NE to like kind of be like, oh, I didn't mean that exact word. Boop. Take a slight different angle on it because I don't want you to hit my TI. Yeah, exactly.
Notice that with thinking types, the redefining of what you actually said in order to avoid like admitting that you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, NE's at the top are usually like the kings of that. That's why we're the chaos monkeys, you know. We're really particular about not having our stuff messed with.
I feel like having TI would make you like less stubborn on your opinion, because for me it's like I'd rather get to the bottom of it or the actual truth than my truth. Like that would be more important to me than being right, because it is so important that, you know, everything is based on a sound logic. So if I'm operating from like a wrong viewpoint or a faulty logic, that would be really important for me to, you know, look at and then potentially correct. Don't you think?
Well, yeah. So I mean, on the front end, because I've like consumed so much about a particular topic, and then I'm engaging in a conversation or an argument about it, like I go in with the assumption that I already have all the sound principles and everything. And usually in the moment, I'll be like, that's when I'm trying to pivot and be like, oh, you're not going to go after my TI. But usually, like after the debate is over or whatever, and I'm kind of like thinking back on those, I'll be like, oh, they made some really good points. Maybe I should reconsider this, do some more consume, and then I will change, you know, change my TI a little bit. But on the front end, it doesn't usually happen in real time. At least not for
Interesting.
me.
Dave was saying something pretty similar, that he doesn't really respect anybody's opinion on topics that he's researched well, unless they are really an expert in the field, and everything else will pretty much disregard it just because of the amount of consume he's already done, that he feels like, okay, I've got this down. So unless you're the master of this field, there's nothing new you can tell me. Do you feel kind of similar?
There's definitely part of that on a few topics. You know, I kind of have like a word for it, like meme opinions, or like, you know, if somebody kind of has like the mainstream view or something on something, rather than like a more expert or more nuanced, then like it's harder for me to take them seriously because I've just seen their argument so many times already.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
feel like that's the combination with any as well, right? If somebody just gives you like some, to you, seemingly bullshit and simplistic reasoning or argument, you're like, no, you obviously haven't thought about this. You haven't consumed enough stuff. You've not thought this through. I will disregard you entirely.
I mean that's definitely part of it, right? Like, because I'm doing so much consume on the front end, like if I can see that the person hasn't done like a similar amount of consume that I've done, like before we talk about this, like it's very hard for me to take their opinion seriously, especially like I said, if I've already if I've already seen their opinion kind of, taken down or like see the opposite side of it in the more the way that I think is true.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say that this is the reason why I typically avoid debates, because I think unconsciously I've always known that I don't have consume, and so like it's hard. It's often hard for me to talk to people because I just don't know what you're talking about, because I haven't done the random bits of consume in like every direction to know what you're talking about, and then like I want to blast play through like, what are you even saying? Like, what is this opinion that you have? But then I have no idea, so I'm not going to understand your response. It's kind of like a helpless feeling of just not being able to initially do the consume to partake in the argument. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm lucky that I'm infodom, because like when sometimes I'll get into those kinds of conversations and like I usually try not to be mean about it. I'll try and kind of pull out the FE and be like, hey, like I understand like this is why you think, but then my blast will want to kick in and just kind of be like, but actually, this is how I think it works. That's where I see myself doing definitely a good amount of blasting is when I feel very passionate about something. I'll definitely want to explain like, oh no, this is the way I think the way that I think my TI thinks that this actually is. Because I'd rather people be informed so that next time they can go and have that conversation rather than just kind of tapping out on the front end. Because I want to engage with people, I want to have those conversations. I want to, as Viktoria was saying, like even though I know I'm gonna be a dick about it sometimes, I do want to refine the TI. I do want to find the truth, And like when people tap out, like that's one less voice that we can use to like get there.
Drew, I like how you're using your FE to spare the other person's embarrassment. You're like, let me just spare you. Okay, you're
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're like, you're a good guy. You're a nice guy. I like your hair. Like, and then that's like, like.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, because you know what? Because like I said, I still want to engage with people. I don't want to be the guy that people are like, oh, that guy sucks. I never want to talk to him again. So sometimes I do have to pull the FE out and be like, no, I actually do. Like, I care about your opinion. I just wish it was more informed.
I love that.
It's also for Isaac. You said that you feel like you're gonna miss out on conversation because of the low consume. I feel like you're missing out on a candy machine conversation by not consuming.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and it can be quite frustrating, and it so in my life it's manifested as that I kind of feel like I want to be taken seriously because I'm a single decider, but I can't be taken seriously because I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm not taking myself seriously because I'm play energy all over the place, fit double feminine play energy all over the place. And then I get home after the party and I think, why is no one taking me seriously? I'm offended as a single decider. But then I look back at the things that I've said and like 100% of the things that I said meant nothing. And then I wonder why I feel like I'm not like, so this is why I think that's like the underlying reason why I went into science, so that I could force myself to actually learn how the world works. Because if I hadn't forced myself to do that, I never would have done that, I think.
What about you, Rose? You are consume last with your TI, but you have sleep savior, so it's kind of interesting. You have like one foot in a savior state, 1 foot out, kind of with a consume last. So
Yeah. I was trying to process when everyone was talking about like debating and when Isaac was talking about being consumed last and feeling like he didn't have anything to contribute. I was trying to bounce that against my life. So, okay. I do feel like as a double decider, I already know most people's TI on things. I may not have like the consume depth there to like understand how they form their opinions, but I feel like I do know most people's opinions. So most of the time when like people start to debate things, my default reaction is like, does this matter? honestly, like hardcore. I'm like, probably doesn't matter. And like that helps me. It makes me make jokes, and that's not very helpful. So that's how I usually engage in debates. Also, especially like TI debates, because all TIs, like, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has like this class on masterclass where he talks about like he uses science to find the objective truth. And I get what TI is doing, and it's really useful. And I think TI is like my safe function, right? It's like the only function, it's third. It doesn't send me into a tidal wave. So like, thank God, I'll go use my TI all the time. Like the reason I find it like funny sometimes is like, you can't find objective truth with TE, but TIs believe that objective truth exists. And that's where the debate comes from, is like, I don't know, it's just very funny to me. Sorry if you guys have TI, and I'm sorry. This is just what my TI is at the moment. It'll probably move next week. So see you then. But yeah, so TI is like definitely like my like safe function. And yeah, I see what TI is doing. It's like trying to make something logically consistent. But sometimes things are not logically consistent. And that's the catch-22. And that's what my double deciding can see. But yeah, being consumed last, definitely like that's I use my sleep, right? My TI shows up in my sleep in a savior, but it's like missing half of it. It's like missing the back wheels, like a dog with two legs, right? So when I do my consume, it doesn't like bolster my TI like on both sides and makes it stronger. But connecting to the double feminine ST sleep, it is also like super watery and movable. And it takes me a really long time to like have super solid boundaries. And yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of random information.
Yeah, I think you said something really interesting there about like, TI is looking to like create some sort of objective truth, but like that's not really the way that the world works, and like that's where the FE is kind of coming into like balance and like, making sure that like the tribe is like all feeling good and like in a good spot, because as somebody who is more on the debater side, like even I can I don't have TI in the top, so I can kind of sometimes see like when TI goes a little bit too far and people are having like really pedantic arguments about stuff that that doesn't really matter. I thought it was interesting that you brought up Neil deGrasse Tyson doing that, because there's another example of Sam Harris basically doing the same thing, of like trying to create like moral framework out of nothingness basically, and trying to come up to like some moral objective truths that like all human beings have used across time or whatever. That does seem to be like a very very like underlying TI thing. And yeah, I think that the positives of that are like there are some things in life that are consistent, and like if you try to do policy or you try to do science against the TI, then they're probably not going to work because they're not logically consistent. But
Yeah.
if you try to apply that to all domains of life, like it
Yes.
doesn't work in nearly as many places as I think people think it does. And especially in like the 21st century, where like we have so much technology around us and like everything is, super advanced. Everyone's like, oh, TI should be everywhere and everything should be logically consistent. And like there's so much of a people component to a lot of stuff, and I think that's where TI definitely gets it wrong, is it sometimes forgets to flip over and worry about the people too.
Yeah, I like that. I think where my TI is that just I don't like my functions right now. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like my TI is like, I'm just gonna go be a Gamma Quadra now, like because it just feels like SI and TI are just like so freaking serious. It's like, why are they're just so serious? Like, why so serious? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's just go like adventure and like, I don't know, do SETE instead. I mean, that sounds like more fun to me at this point and less triggering to myself and everyone else, because we all like are trying to like make our introverted functions like be taken seriously, so like we can be like the bestest, and it's like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
totally.
as double activated sleep, I definitely second that. Like trying to be consistent in the sensory and consistent logically all the time it takes a lot of energy, and it's introverted, and so nobody really sees it, and so it's very taxing. I feel that a lot.
I was thinking that too with TI when Isaac was saying he feels that compulsion to be by the candy machine with the tribe at the expense of his work. Whereas I feel the other way around. I feel that compulsion, like you have to get the thing done, you have to get the work done. And like I see everybody over there and I'm like, oh, I would like that. I would like to just be fuck around with the tribe for a bit, but my work is, are people going to be thinking I'm not putting enough effort in, and then where is that going to leave me? Whereas, yeah, FE sounds much more fun, and that, yeah, I want to be by the candy machine. I'm sure that's a much more fun place than sitting in front of my computer and like working away. But definitely feel your rose.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on something Isaac said earlier too, because I thought it was interesting, where he said that he went into science because he wanted to be taken more seriously. So as somebody who's on the NTP side who also went into science, like I feel like I went into science because people wouldn't take me seriously with the FE, which is, I think it's kind of ironic that you went into it because people don't take you serious on the other side.
Yeah, that's the other, I think also studying science forces you to learn all of your functions, because like you can't get away with not blasting because you have to present your results. You can't get away with not playing because you have to work in groups, etc. I think studying science is like the great unifier, and it like forces you to do your demons no matter what they are.
Yeah, to some extent. It depends which science you're in, I guess. If you're on like more like the hard sciences, the math and engineering, I'd say that's true. Although if you're on the hardcore math side, you're not doing as much team stuff. But if you're on like a softer science, I would say some of those are more like play and consume heavy and not as much blast sleep. Other than, I guess, publishing papers periodically. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Yeah, I have to think about it a little more.
Sure.
I'm curious about your identities, and like, so TI is tied to intelligence, or supposed to be tied to intelligence, but from what I can see now, every person of your quadra sees it a little bit differently. So I know with Isaac, you want to be taken seriously, especially your TI. But what about the other guys here? Like, what about the INTPs? Like, you guys have TI first. So what do you want to be taken seriously for? Like, do you want to be taken seriously for your FE? Like, do you want to be the fun person? Like the fun person? Or do you want to be like the intellectual person, And then I'll ask a couple of disciples after. Go ahead, Evelyn.
I definitely want to be the fun person. I feel like I'm trying really hard, and then people take it too seriously, and I have to like say, no, it was a joke. So yeah, in my case, I would actually like to be taken less seriously. Yeah.
For me, it's both. I think ideally, in an ideal world. Oh, sorry, you weren't finished. Go ahead.
I feel like maybe because I'm play thirds, I feel like I won't just live in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you guys know, but Evelyn makes music too. So she has like, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Evelyn makes music.
Oh, cool.
I also make music.
That's cool.
Oh, I didn't know that, Drew. Victoria, yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, in an ideal world, it would be both. And if I look at an ideal day or evening or a conversation, it would always include both parts of like intellectual and fun. And that would be like, that would be the perfect balance. But I guess if I'm not actively striving to look like more intelligent or intellectual, that just, I don't know, comes out naturally, or the inner nerd comes out and just wants to spit out all the information that have been consumed, or ask other people about random stuff that they think or that they've read, or it just comes out in autopilot. But yeah, for the fun part, I think that would be more conscious striving for that. I want to be a good FE company. I don't want to wreck the vibe. I want to, be positive and nice and include everyone. And that's why I'm putting effort into the TI or the intellectual side. Yeah, that just, don't intentionally try and put that out there.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
like we're all staring at our demons.
yeah. I was gonna say I don't know if this is just because I'm an EP, but for me, I always feel like I need to go against the grain. So if I'm around a lot of people and they're having a very TI conversation, I'm immediately going to be the one throwing all the wrenches in there, trying to like break it up, trying to make it less serious. But then as soon as I'm around a bunch of like play, consume, play EPs, I'm trying to be the serious guy in the room. And I'm always trying to go the opposite of where the tribe supposedly is. I don't know why. I just feel compulsed to do that. So I don't care if I'm perceived as much of like the intelligent one or the one that's trying to break it up. I just want to be different, I guess. The one that didn't just fade into the wall.
The one that didn't become a yes man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a no man.
That's it.
It's very DI of you. I need to be special.
That's right. That's right.
Well, do you want to be special or you want to be a rebel? It sounds like you just want to be more of a rebel.
I mean, that they're not that different, you know, if you think about it. I'm not like a rebel would be like I'm trying to take down a structure. Like I'm not actively trying to be like I don't want people to have friends in friend groups. I'm just like
I think it's
yeah.
I think it's just double deciding, right? Because if you're
Yeah,
saying the whole
partially.
tribe is over on this side of the boat, you're like, I'm gonna go stand on the other side of the boat so this
Yeah.
ship doesn't fucking sink. Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably you're right, Rose.
Yeah. Well, okay. I've processed my TI so much, guys. I'm trying not to give you too much of my sleep here, but when I was in school, in college, I was not a very good student. I was in a program that was really hard for me. And then I was like insecure about my intelligence. So I went and got an IQ test. And then I had to marry the fact that I had a high IQ with the fact that I wasn't doing well in school. And I thought about this a lot. I was like, I don't know if IQ really matters. I don't know that IQ is, maybe it's tied to functions, maybe it's not. But what I realized was like, what am I going to try to say this? You're like, if I'm sitting down to an IQ test, I'm predisposed to do well in an IQ test because I'm in a quiet room alone, where I just get to like use the known information on the test. There's 4 answers or whatever. And I'm working with the known information and my SITI is just puzzling it out, like which one fits best. And so, not to shit on myself because I'm a DE and I'll do that, but like going through that experience of like, I was good in school, then I was really bad at school, and then getting my IQ test back made me realize like there's an entire spectrum of intelligences, which everyone talks about, but like made me really appreciate that like I cannot do like SE showmanship shit. Like if you watch my channel, it's like very boring and dry shit. Like that's in a type of intelligence that I don't have. Like sit me down in front of a puzzle and I can do that. And sure, we can collectively call that intelligence, but I think that's bullshit. And I don't know, it's probably somewhat my demons, but like, yeah, that's my take on it.
I do agree. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of criticism of IQ tests, and there's racial bias in it as well, and of course it has to do with what education you have and all that stuff. So yeah, and yeah, I agree.
So I'm gonna take the other side of this one again. So IQ tests were developed almost 100 years ago, and if IQ tests are bullshit, then every other psychometric anything is bullshit, because IQ has the highest correlation of pretty much any psychometric thing. So IQ generally correlates pretty well with life outcomes, which would be like how much money you make, how long you live, how healthy you tend to be, those kinds of things. And so there might be some parts of it that are not great. To go after what Isaac was saying, they've developed new IQ tests in the 21st century that go off of reaction time versus basis, instead of doing like verbal tests, which was some of the stuff that was gone after for having racial bias, and they showed some of the same results as some of the other ones. So I don't know. It's one of those things where like IQ, unfortunately, is one of those things that like is kind of real and does kind of correlate with some things, and you just kind of have to be aware of that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that because you have an IQ, you're definitely going to have better life outcomes. It just means that statistically, on average, you're likely to have a better life outcome. in terms of those things like making money and living longer. If those aren't things that you care about, then yeah, maybe IQ doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, we're about to enter into a debate territory, which is probably what this interview is for, but I was just like, I think it's maybe me processing my demon in me of like, I can be intelligent in this context and not this context, and everyone, that's true for everyone. And so, yeah, I agree that the research clearly says that, but that's how the context of our society is now. If all of a sudden we had, a bunch of chaos, Drew and I would be killed off because like we're demon, we single activated OE. So, yeah, I don't know. There's my awkward TIs like report for you guys.
Well, one other thing I've noticed is having a high IQ or being smart or whatever you want to call it doesn't necessarily mean that you will enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. Sure.
So like, even if you're like you have to make sure that you choose the right thing to do. Otherwise, your potential will not be all applied toward the thing that you're doing. So I think that happens to a lot of people. And I think that that's why a lot of people struggle with high school, is because they just don't care. The set of all people who do well in high school is not equal to the set of all people with high IQs.
Yeah.
If only just because a lot of people are just not interested.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a funny one really quick to try and lighten the mood a little bit. I watched a quick interview with a guy who was 103, who was a vegetarian, and his takeaway from that was, it's not worth it. Now, that isn't me trying to argue that you shouldn't be a vegetarian, but like, if you're living longer and you're making more money, I mean, I know I experienced this in my life. I had a job where I made a lot of money and I freaking hated it, and I just had to quit because the money wasn't worth it for me. And so it's like trying to make money and like live a couple extra years. Like if you're freaking miserable because you're trying to live a life that isn't working for you, like, is it really worth it? Probably not. So like, I hear that. Like if you're more intelligent about like, I live a life that works for me, even if I'm not like making as much money, or I'm not going to live an extra 2 years, like who cares if it's working for you,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And it can be hard to balance that, or it can be hard even to hear that message, because a lot of parents just have like a blind ambition for their child. They see endless, boundless potential, and they want to say, you could do anything. You could be president. You could win the Nobel Prize, and then suddenly your life is all about achievement and not necessarily passion, which it should be about.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. It goes back to like the masculine FE going, does it matter? And I was like, it doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, maybe that's another secret power of FE is like, and now I know it took me a while to get there, but like being able to kind of see other people's values and realizing that like other people are aligning more with what they value in life than I was, and being able to realize like I can actually do something else to like kind of put my like what I desire and what I'm actually doing together. So yeah, TI doesn't really tend to do that. TI tends to focus super on like the accomplishment side of it. Like Isaac was saying, like, oh, your parents, I feel like if you have, at least for me, like having double activated TI and having parents that had high expectations for me, like it was really hard to break away from that because my TI was just feeding into that so much. So yeah, FE for the win.
And my TI is connected to that too. That's why I'm trying to not like feel that anymore, because I can tell it's like unhealthy, especially because society values IQ. It's like this weird not weird catch 22, but it's like I'm allowed to be, I don't know, it's just, there's something icky about it. I can't express it very well, but yeah.
You guys were talking about, I think it was Isaac and Drew, like talking about like doing what you like as opposed to making more money or something like that. So you guys all have TI and FE. So I have FI. So for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this. I'm having fun. I like this. I know I like this, right? But how do you guys know what you like? Because you guys don't have FI, right? Like, how do you? I know it's kind of a weird question, but how do you know, like, what you like? Like, do you have to be good at something to like it? or can you like it first before even if you're crap at it, you know?
Sorry, guys, I'm just going to interrupt real quick. I hope that's okay if I leave you a bit early because I'm really not feeling that well. So I'm probably just going to go and lie down. But it's been really fun. And yeah,
Meet
thanks
you.
for having me.
Thanks a lot, Victoria.
Thanks, Victoria.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys too. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess I'll try to start that one off, Kendrick. So I don't, yeah, for me it generally tends to be things that like I already know that I'm good at, I guess, to take that side of it. Like if I want to try to start something new and I know that I'm just like, I know that I'm not really making a lot of progress, like it'll be harder for me to like it. Whereas if I try something and I have like more like a natural talent to it, then like, you know, I will feel more like, oh, I do like this because I can be good at this. And I don't know if that's like an ST sleep thing. Like this logically makes sense that I'm doing this, and I also like I feel like connected to the sensory of this. Like I know for a good example for me like would be like singing. You know, like I never really took formal lessons until I was like in my 20s, but you know I was kind of good at it right off the bat, and like it's very like physical thing to do singing. And so it was just, I just knew I liked it because I got good at it.
So for you guys, is enjoyment then more like a mental thing as opposed to like an emotional thing? I don't know. Like
it's very difficult. For me especially, it's really difficult. I've had to start asking myself the question, what do I like? I've had to physically ask myself, what do I want to do right now? Because otherwise I don't know. There's not really a clear, like, you know, I like drawing, or I like, you know, singing, though I do like singing, but it's not like I have such inner passion for this thing that I must do it. It's more like, what's the best use of my time right now? What's the best thing for me to be doing right now? Or what's my next move? And like, if I want to practice piano, then I'll say, do I want to practice piano right now? And if the answer is yes, then I'll go do it. But it's not like, oh, I must play the piano right now because it's like, it's gonna fill me with joy. It's a more mechanical kind of decision.
what about you, Evelyn? You're lead TI. So how do you know when do you like doing things because you are good at it, or because you enjoy it first, or you like it? Like it's a little bit, it's one of those confusing things.
Can you ask this again? Sorry. Do I like?
Yeah, so like you know, as a TI person, how do you know what you like? Like, do you need to be good at something to like it, or you
Not
like it
true.
just for the sake of liking it?
No, because I've noticed sometimes things that I'm good at, I don't necessarily like. Yeah, that's difficult. I think it's definitely sort of logical thing. Like if I'm doing the same thing for a long time, probably must mean I like it. Like I like my job now because I'm doing it for a long time, and in comparison with other things I've done in the past. But I definitely like if I long-term priorities, I don't have that at all. And just basing what I like on my past experiences and the length of time I'm doing it. And especially like with feelings, I'm not that aware of how something makes me feel physically. Not always. So it's another thing that makes it difficult. Yeah. It takes some figuring out.
the way you describe it makes it sound like TI is kind of illogical. You backward rationalize why you like something, but is that really true?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
What about Rose? Do you feel like you backward rationalize things all the time? Like usually?
Mm.
How do you know what you like?
I feel like because I'm saver feeler, I can access that easier than the T stuff. So like I went into design because since I was a child, was always drawing and making stuff. So I liked it, so I did it, but I wasn't considering whether I was good. And I definitely wasn't considering whether I was good on a spectrum. And that's why I didn't do poorly in school. I was like a B- student, but that's why I was struggling in school, is because I wasn't using my T functions. Getting into the industry though, like what I find is a really important question to ask myself is, because I know the likes part, I kind of know what I vibe with. It's more a good question to ask myself is like, what problems do I want to solve here? Because I was feeling very disconnected to my work for a long time. And I was like, well, if I'm in this general feeler category of design, because my feelings vibe with that, as long as I'm solving problems that I think are worth solving, or, however you want to word that, then I'm okay. But I was struggling because I was solving problems that I thought were bullshit. So that's kind of how it works with feeling above thinking, I think. A little bit different, maybe. I don't know if Isaac, you relate.
Yeah, a little bit. I also identify with the like, if I don't think the problems are worth solving, then there's no reason for me to be here. Like it's a waste of my life to just sit at a computer and do spreadsheets that aren't going to matter. Like even if I was getting paid for it, I would still hate it. Like I want to be engaged in knowing what is happening, and I want to agree that it's the right thing to do before I do it. But if I'm doing what I think is right, then that's like doing what I love, I guess. It's almost like the words are not the right words. It's like liking it isn't the right word. It's being in agreement with the mission statement is more like in line with TI, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I'll third that one a little bit, and I'll bring up a word that we talked about a little bit earlier, which is like a accomplishment, to kind of like second what you guys are saying. Like I don't want to do something unless I feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. And I think when it comes to likes, like I like to do something in my own life that like I feel like I'm accomplishing it, which is why I mentioned like singing, because like it's something that I feel like I'm good at, and so when I do it, I feel like a sense of accomplishment when I do it. And then like the stuff that I will consume from like others is stuff that like feels like a big accomplishment. So like I tend to like, you know, I tend to like shows that are like, really highly acclaimed or like really well put together, like things that I watch and I'm like, wow, this was like really like smart. This was like a really good put together thing. And I will judge very hard, expectations for stuff, because like I want to make sure that like this was a real accomplishment if I'm going to spend my time, looking at it. And if I see that it was a real big accomplishment, then I will like it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I want to ask you guys about that, about shaming. So FE can shame FI, right? So TE can shame TI. How do you feel shamed by TE? Like, how do you guys? How? Drew, you're married to Gray, the TE here, so maybe you could talk about this first. No, I'm not trying to start shit or
Yeah,
anything.
no, you're
Hi,
fine. You're
Gray.
fine. So she, so she's play first and she's TE, right? So for her, she's just like, I'm just gonna jump in and just start doing stuff. And for me, like I'm very much like, I want to think about this, I want to systematize this before we do anything. I'm gonna make my list. She's like, no, screw all that. I'm just gonna jump in, and like she'll get it done in like 15 minutes, whereas I might spend half an hour just like thinking about how to do it. And so like she'll just like show me up all the time of like, I think it's more efficient to think about it first and then do it. She'll just be like, jump in and it'll be way more efficient that way. And I'm like, oh, I hate that. I wish the TI made more sense, but sometimes the TE makes more sense. And it feels really shamey because, as you're just talking about, like I don't want to feel like I wasted my time. But like, if she can get it done super quick versus me, like I kind of did waste my time, you know? So yeah, that's kind of how I see TE sometimes.
So the shame is like how quick they can do it comparatively.
Yeah, like they can accomplish something more efficiently than I do, right?
Mm.
And so it's like I feel shamed by that. I'm also play last, so I also have like a weird obsession with like not expending energy, probably in a way that most people don't, but it's just my take.
What about you guys? The other people?
Go. I definitely felt a lot of shame in, I'm going to keep bringing it back to college because that was like one of my bigger failures in life. It just, so in architecture school, you're constantly presenting your ideas every week, and then it's open critique, and you stay with the same like 40 or 50 people for 5 years. And so my demon TI was constantly being woken up to the spectrum of T, and I was definitely lower on the spectrum, like definitely lower in that context, because my TI wasn't looking at like, I need to compare myself to the other students. It was looking at like, I want my building to be the best as my TI. And yeah, so the shame is, I don't know, like I was slow, like demon play as well. Like I was slow to like make the designs. I was very careful about the decisions I made about the designs. They were like very personal T decisions. And there were other students that were able to like iterate on thinking. And what I saw was like, I was not, I mean, it's a demon, so you can't really iterate on your demons very well already. But also like TI, like I would get very stuck in this, I have to make this idea come to life. And then that would make me very low on the spectrum, because kind of the idea of architecture is like SCTE almost. That just like kept pushing me down. So it made me feel shame. A lot of times after the critiques, because we'd have them weekly, we would flip these boards around, and one of my good friends would be there behind me to like, because I would cry. I would just like, it's like someone like ripping a Band-Aid, like, you suck, you're at the bottom. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh fuck, like, and I would just cry every time. You know, eventually like toughen up and you get better at it. But yeah, it sucks. But it's okay, you know, you're an adult, you get through it. But when you're a kid, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Isaac, go for it.
Yeah, I also think that that iterating on your demons is hard. I've been in situations where like there's a problem that needs to be solved like in my lab, and I'll have an idea immediately that I think is going to work perfectly, and like I see it in all of its glory, and then I suggest, hey, what if we do this? And then the TE energy is like, okay, that's one idea, great, we'll put it on the fridge next to the macaroni picture. And then how about more ideas? And then I'm like, you're not even thinking about if my idea is good or not. Like, just let me do it, I'll do it, and then I'll show you all that it was a good idea. But the TEs are like, why do you care so much? Like, it's just one idea. So that's sort of how I feel shamed by TE.
I love that macaroni on the fridge visual. That's so how I feel when I talk to TEs. They're like, that's so good, here's a little sticker. I'm like, oh God.
I should put one in the background since I'm the TE jerk here. What about you, Evelien? Have you ever felt shamed by a TE person when you had like a TI idea?
Not sure. I can't think of anything. No. I can think of many examples of being shamed by FE, but not TE. Sorry.
Well, can you okay? How was the FE the one that shamed you instead of the TE?
Just like every time someone tells me you have to talk about your emotions, or you have to, or when there was something FE going on and I missed it, or I thought it wasn't important, and you get called out, then yeah, I feel shamed. I don't feel shamed when someone tells me my idea is stupid. I'm like, yeah, I know. But yeah, FE is sensitive.
So I guess it's one thing for TE to shame TI. It's another thing when an FE person shames another person with the FE also in their quadra. How do you guys respond to that, by the way? Like a fellow FE person shames you, like how do you respond to that?
Well, I'm a double decider, so for me, it's more like funny than anything. Like I'm pretty sure that my mom is an FE user, and she says that crap to me like all the time, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, like whatever. Like I don't know. I think when I was younger, I used to get more butthurt about it, but as I've kind of come into my own as an adult, I can see my own FE a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I'm not falling into that trap.
Yeah, I do find personally, I do find the FE, like especially with like the one who people go like this, like shame on you, like that's like I think that's the one that's I find the most triggering. Like I have a travel YouTube channel and someone was shaming me like that too in one of my videos because I said like this product was bad, and then they're like, shame on you, this company does a lot of good for other people. Shame on you for saying so many bad things about this company. And then I use my T, I'm like, you're stupid, and then it's like, then the war happens, because in TE, calls your TI stupid. And yeah, anyways, I'm not gonna go to it. I do have a question about FE. So with FE so we just finished the Christmas season, and I do notice that people with TE and FE, the way that you guys give gifts is very different. Okay, the gift giving thing is very different. And I have a lot of FE friends, so I started giving them FE gifts, and it was well received. So I'm definitely learning a lot from OPS. David Chan likes to call FE gifts as like the fruit basket. Like no one wanted the fruit basket, but you gave it to them anyways. you know, and so I just came back from traveling. I went to Argentina, so I bought a bunch of like South American treats, and I gave it to all my FE friends, and they were all happy. you know, you know. But for me, the best gift I've ever received, personally, was that pull-up bar behind me that my sister gave to me because it was practical. Okay, so it wasn't something shiny. It wasn't something like, ooh, cool. It's a gag gift, but it's more like, oh yeah, I can work out. So how do you guys view gift giving personally with FE? Is it more like, do you guys do the fruit basket stereotype, or it's more like you prefer something practical? Like how do you give, and what do you prefer to receive?
So maybe this is just because I'm FE demon, but I definitely, I guess, do more of the TE gifts the way that you're defining them. Or I tend to get things that like people actually will use, and I try to like think about them a little bit more. But I also don't tend to give like as many people gifts. I think if I was giving like 30 people gifts, I would probably defer to the FE. But because I have a smaller group of people, I tend to try to give stuff that's like more like the pull-up bar, like that people can actually use. I do try to go for more of the practical, like everyday things, and not just like something you can like use once and then throw away.
So I do try to do that as well, like the giving of practical gifts. Sometimes I can't think of anything though. So what I'll also do is, like, starting around October, I'll start listening very carefully to what people are saying, because every now and then people will just randomly say like, oh no, I wish I had X, Y, or Z, and then they'll just forget that they said that for forever. And then if you get that thing for them, then like hopefully they'll still remember that they wanted it, but because it was a little thing, they won't have felt the need to go out of their way to get it for themselves. And so that's how the fruit basket starts to develop. It's like, oh, I remembered that you needed a can opener, and I remembered that you needed like a poster of this one thing, but none of those are big enough to be a gift on their own. So it turns into like a fruit basket type thing of little things that I heard you say that you wanted over the months.
what type of gifts do you like, Isaac?
Oh yeah.
Forgot to love-
I like anything that's handmade. Anything that people it doesn't matter what it is, any kind of art or sculpture or even food.
Mm.
As long as it's handmade, it's like the best thing I've ever received.
Yeah, I relate to that. I love handmade stuff, especially from friends. I have like my friends' artwork all over my apartment. I really like gifts though that help me with Demon Gather. So those are always my favorite. Like my favorite was when I was like 16. Somebody could see that I really was maybe leaning towards architecture, and so they bought me a drafting table to do like figure drawing on and stuff. And I wouldn't have gathered that myself. So it was really nice. But I've always felt very, like in terms of gift giving, I always felt very bad at it. But I think I'm getting better as I get older. And my technique now, before it was very like, what's popular? And I'll just get you your favorite color in it. And I don't know, why aren't you liking it? I don't get it. Now I try to just like more make it meaningful. So I'll like make sure they know that I see them. And even though it may not hit the nail on the head, it's not like the perfect thing that they wanted, but like, I know that you like this very specific niche thing and I'm paying attention to it, even though we don't do it together. And I'm going to get you something in that category. And that seems to be doing better. But yeah, I did have a savior thinking relative who has year over year asked for like an electric toothbrush. And I'm like, what? Because my head goes, I'm imagining Christmas, you're opening gifts. And I'm like, what, how is that bringing you joy? You know what I mean? And then I had to like rewire, like that really does bring some people joy. Like getting an electric toothbrush or a pull-up bar is like the best thing. So it's like, okay. Yeah, definitely trying to get better at gift giving.
Yeah, I don't think it's an insult. Like you give them an electric toothbrush, it doesn't mean you're saying they have bad teeth, or like, someone gave me a pull-up bar doesn't mean because I'm fat, I need to lose weight. It's like, it's not like a hint. What about you, Evelyn? What kind of gifts do you like to give, and what kind of gifts do you like to receive with your FE?
Receive, I don't know. But giving, I remember when I was younger, I would definitely do like true, more a TE kind of gifts, like really thought out. But then I realized like some FE people I knew, they're just as happy with fruit baskets. So I guess it depends on the person. So sometimes I will just give something simple, and sometimes it's really thought out. But yeah, receiving, I don't know. Actually, as far as receiving, I would be happy with something simple, because if it's a TE gift and it's not what I like, then I feel bad that I spent so much time on it. Yeah, maybe I do appreciate an FE gift just as much as a TE gift.
So any gifts is fine.
Yeah.
You're not picky.
Kendrick, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
This is kind of an FE gift, but since you have a different decider axis, I'm gonna workshop this with you.
Sure.
Okay, so if I know your favorite cookie is whatever,
Yeah.
would a good gift be to bake you those cookies? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to up my game here. So if I was like, oh, I know you love peppermint chocolate cookies, and I found a really good recipe and I baked you like 2 dozen, is that a good gift, or is that like not a good gift?
Well, it depends on the context, because like it's gonna get a little bit. I'm FI, so it gets a little bit complicated. But so for me, it's like, yes, I like the cookie, but you made me too much. Like I don't know what to do with this now. Because like you gave me 2 dozen, so like like it would have been better. It would have been better if you got me a practical gift and then you put the cookie on top of the box, like as like the cherry on top. So for example, I let's say I like chocolate chip cookie. But what I really wanted for Christmas, let's say, was this PlayStation 5 game, let's say. So the best gift would be to combine FI and FE was to give me a PlayStation 5, that game that I wanted, but you take the cookie that I like and you tape it on top of the box. And then I'm like, then I'll open it and I'm like, fuck yeah, I love this game, and I'll eat the cookie because I love the cookie too. So I'm like, this is the best gift ever, you know? So yeah, that's how I would perceive it, you know?
I do have a quick cookie opinion to share.
Please do.
So I've dated a couple girls in my life that like they're cookie gifters, I guess would be the name for them, which is it's one thing if like somebody's like really into cookies and you make them cookies versus like I'm gonna make 500 cookies and like give everybody like a dozen of their favorite cookie. For me, that feels like less like thought out, because you're like, yes, you're like trying to figure out what everyone's favorite cookie is and give them that one, but like if I know that you're giving everybody cookies, or like you're giving everybody like the same kind of like you know, a smaller version of like a big batch you made, like that's nice, but it feels less like it's a gift for me and more like you feel compelled to give a gift and you just made a bunch of cookies, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done that before. I've done that. Like I did mass baking and gave everyone the same shit. That's why I was wondering if like I knew someone's favorite sweet, maybe they'd like that. I do think like the more unique gifts are better. I'm just curious if it would be triggering to get in traffic.
Well, okay,
So-
my sister. Okay. So so since we're on the topic of gift giving FE, so I'm pretty sure one of my sisters is lead FE, and for Christmas she gave everyone the same gift. She gave all of us socks. Like all of us, we all got socks from the exact same company, and I'm pretty sure they're all. She bought this exact same size because they're one size fits all. So me and my sister and my girlfriend, we all got socks, and then my sister's roommate got socks, and my sister's other roommate got socks. So we all got the same gift for my sister. Now for me, I gave my sister a coloring book for her Christmas present. And I really thought it out because I'm like, okay, my sister's obsessed with mindfulness. So I got her a mindfulness coloring book. And I know she's a kid deep down inside. So I got her crayons too, you know, and yeah. And then she like, yeah, so it was, I really thought it out. So when I got a bunch of socks, not saying it's not good, I appreciate the fact that someone gave me a gift. Any gift's good. There is a part of it where it's like it's like factory, you know. It's like I feel like it's like you give me a factory gift, like you give everyone the same gift, you know. There's no thought put into this. It's nice that you thought about me and you got me a gift, but at the same time, you didn't think about me as a person, you know. So
Yeah, if I'm gonna get like a not well thought of gift, I'd rather just like get a $5 or a $10, you know. Don't worry about the stocks.
yeah.
But isn't that just the key problem of like, you got your sister that coloring book, but she probably, no offense, she probably didn't like it. Like what is the percentage of Christmas gifts that people get that they actually like? This goes to my like whole, like, why do we give each other Christmas gifts to begin with? Seems strange to me because honestly, I probably liked 5% of the gifts I've gotten in my whole life. So
Yeah, that's my big question. I actually I have a lot of anxiety around Christmas time because of the whole problem of gift giving. Because like you're talking about getting socks. I actually would love to get socks, and I would also love to get cookies. But maybe that's just like the lead FE. Like I will accept any offering, and I will love any offering that I receive. Uh, Maybe that's what that is. But like for me, I if I get the FI punch of I got you a bad gift, that feels like really really bad. And so every Christmas that comes around, and so I give people gifts and they don't like it, and it's like now I feel so shitty because you didn't like the gift that I gave you. And so it's like screw Christmas. Christmas sucks because everybody's just unhappy with the gifts they received.
Yeah, so my hot take on that whole conversation is there are, I don't remember what they all are, but supposedly there's like 5 love languages, and one of them is gift giving. And Christmas was devised as a way to give the gift givers an out during the year to like have something that they can give people gifts and nobody can say no. Because I'm pretty sure that my mom has gift giving as a love language, and she's always trying to give me random crap during the year, but I almost never take them except around Christmas. And then the people that don't have gift giving as a love language are like, oh my God, this crap again. Are you serious? We just did this last year. Because like, if your love language is like words of affirmation or physical touch or spending time with somebody, like that's what you want to do on Christmas. You don't care about the gift giving, but the gift givers really care about the gift giving on Christmas. And so it kind of is like, I think that's where the tension comes from.
Right,
It's really good.
right, well, first off, Rose, my sister loved the coloring book. Okay, this was the second time. I gave it to her.
Are you sure? You don't have FE?
100%. Everyone that's DE. I know you're just trolling me, but whatever. I'm not gonna. Whatever, it's fine. All right, guys. So we'll wrap it up here at the gift giving portion. I guess you all have a point when it comes to gift giving. Yeah, I guess we're losing the meaning of it. It's supposed to be you thought about someone. It's not about the actual object that they got. It's because you thought about them. So just me being FI, being picky, saying you didn't really think about me because you didn't think about what I wanted, but that's selfish, right? But I guess for DEs, maybe Christmas time is the time to be a DI. I don't know. It's just a thought. Anyways, thanks guys for coming out and doing this panel interview. And I hope that people who are watching this learn more about TI, FE, SI, and NE from these guys. And how can, like, if people want to get in touch with you guys, I know a lot of you have YouTube channels. So Rose, Drew, and I don't know if Evelien cares. Evelien has a YouTube channel too, by the way. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I have a Discord too.
Okay, so yeah, so how can people reach you guys? So if they want to know more about your stuff or your channel. So Evelien, go first.
Yeah, I have a YouTube, and all the other links are in the about section of my YouTube.
I'll get the link from Evelien later, and I'll put it in the description. Yeah. Rose?
Yeah, I also have a YouTube channel, but I would say that at the moment I'm just trying to make content. I'm not really trying to do any community engagement. So I'm just trying to get my TI up and like different skills related to YouTube. So it's not like, it's OP content, but there's not like a whole community, a Discord and stuff like that around it. It's just, you can watch videos if you're interested.
All right, I'll link it too. And then I know Drew, you and Gray share a channel.
Yeah, so it's more so Gray's channel, but I'm on some videos sometimes. It's called Augmented Personality. I know that we don't have a Discord, but Gray and I are on like the unofficial OPS Discord a lot. So if you like DM me there, you guys can hook up with me, whatever. I had a couple people contact me the last couple of weeks. And we're going to start live streaming more often on Augmented Personality. So if you guys want to tune into that and ask your questions, like you can always do that too. So yeah.
Awesome.
And same thing like Evelien, all the links are in the description.
Yeah. Isaac, how do people can reach you if they want to ask you questions about being an ESFJ, or if you have YouTube or whatever?
The Facebook groups, the study groups are great, the OPS ones, and yeah, I'm fairly active on those. I'm on Discord sometimes, but not as much as the Facebook group. And I don't have a YouTube channel.
Gotcha. All right, thanks again, guys, and then we'll wrap it up from here. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Kendrick.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Thanks, Kendrick.